Hello everyone, how you doing today? Hello Lanzer, Grey Knight, Mike Bravo, Dickie G, good to have you guys here. Pino, we're getting ready to start in just a few moments, but give people a chance to sort of get the notification and come on in. All right. Today, of course, is release day for Red Star DLC for Order of Battle World War II. If you haven't already ordered it, you can do so if you're interested. Obviously, you can wait until after you watch the playthrough to see if it's your type of game. And I do see my job very much here is to present the game to you so that you can make an informed decision on it. I so far liked playing it. Right. Also, I noticed not this DLC, but the previous DLCs are 50% off. If there's any of those that you're interested, I'm always sort of ready to promote a big sale like that. That if you're interested in something, you might want to pick that up as well. Okay. If you were here last time when we were looking at Soviet Union and the Far East, again, this DLC focuses from 1938 to 1941 Soviet action. So it does not cover Barbarossa and after. It's dealing with the earlier periods. And it's an often overlooked aspect of World War II. But it's vitally important. Hitler watched Mussolini, starting at the end of 1935, have his war, his training war against Ethiopia. And Hitler thought, that'd be great. He's building up, especially back in 1936, just at the start, I think it's January 1936, there is the Three Powers Pact. I hope all of you are interested in the history. Hello, Headbreaker. And so there's the Three Powers Pact, formed by Mussolini along with Austria and Hungary as an anti-German defense pact, fundamentally. So in 36, Mussolini is forming an anti-Hitler pact. Defense pact. So now obviously that changes over time, but this is at the beginning of 36. He's forming this. And so Hitler wants to unite all of Germany. So he has to work. His main job becomes convincing Italy that he is not a threat to Italy so that he can take Austria. He wants to do it largely peacefully. But Hitler still wants his training war. So he sees, we want the Sudetenland. Let's have a war with Czechoslovakia. But we're not ready for the war with this perceived superpower of the world at the time, which is France. The Soviet Union is much more powerful, but its power is hidden. So Hitler's making all these threats, sets up this, I know this is going back a little ways, but sets up his casus belli of the Sudetenland for his war with Czechoslovakia. Well, Chamberlain, like, hey, we want to avoid war, what can we do? So the Munich conference is actually several different events, Churchill's coming and going from Germany and Britain over a short period of time. The Munich conference eventually happens now, and Chamberlain advises Czechoslovakia that Britain and France will not go to war over Czechoslovakia and that they should give up the Sudetenland. Two important aspects come of this. One, Hitler doesn't get his training war. Two, Stalin is left out of the Munich conference. You have Mussolini, which is being the peacemaker. You have Hitler on one side. Of course, Mussolini is basically backing Hitler up by this point. And France and Britain on the other. Czechoslovakia is not even in town, let alone not in the room for the Munich Pact. Okay, so this is sort of setting this up. There's a point to all of this. So Hitler still wants his training war, doesn't get it. The little city of Danzig is an international zone, basically German controlled. You look at photos of it of this time period. German flags, which are the swastika flags, are all over Danzig. What Hitler is demanding is the Danzig corridor, the land between East Prussia and Danzig. Poland's not willing to give it up. Poland has a defense agreement with France and Britain. But Hitler doesn't really believe that France and Britain will go to war with Poland. And again, I hope you like the history here. Now, Hitler's not ready for a major war yet. Germany isn't. He knows that the German army isn't. But he wants his training war. And unlike Italy, he doesn't have overseas colonies to go beat up on some poor, unfortunate country out somewhere out in the world. So he needs to find a neighbor to do so. So he starts talking with, at least publicly perceived, and his actuality too, his real and most bitter enemy, the Soviets. Now, while Ribbentrop is talking to Molotov, and I should have looked this up before, but there's also a Franco-British delegation that has traveled to the Soviet Union and is also trying to get a pact, a defense pact with the Soviet Union. Now, Stalin isn't entirely against this idea, but one, he's really been locked out of the first Munich conference. He wasn't asked in, so he's distrustful. And two, he has a few demands. Like, hey, the Baltic states. Hey, Finland. Maybe parts of Romania. I don't know if he's specifying Romania in this, but I know he's like pushing for getting back the Baltic states and Finland, which they saw as part of the old Russian Empire. So he's pushing for this. Well, the Western allies are like, well, hey, we're perfectly happy to sign a mutual defense agreement with you, but we're not going to give you permission to just go invade a few random countries. Obviously, they're not random. They're picked out for particular reasons. But we're not going to just let you be aggressive. Where Hitler is like, oh, hey, you want Latvia and Estonia and Finland? No problem. You can have them. Just let us have our part of Poland. Please do note that I left Lithuania out of that, because that was to be in the German sphere. So this has sort of set this up. So Hitler's bid is better than the Western Allies. Now, I don't know what Stalin's thinking, whether he's thinking the French and the British are just unreliable because they didn't stand behind Czechoslovakia, or whether he thinks the French and the British at the right moment are going to stand by and let Germany attack the Soviet Union. I don't quite get it, because it seems to be a short-sighted, because he's setting up, as I think many historians agree, setting up the situation. Even if the whole Poland war works out, he's setting up a situation for, hello Van Bishop, the coming conflict. As opposed, and so this is potentially now, if the war with Poland works out as the way Hitler intends it, it'll be a German-Soviet war without the Western Allies necessarily getting involved. So I don't quite know whether it's just short-sightedness or why it's decided. And to my knowledge, there's no, at least not in English, any good explanations that I think we would trust of the Soviet thinking of Stalin / Molotov and what's being recommended there. So Hitler wants his training war. Hitler's main worry is the Soviet Union. Soviet Union gives Hitler permission to take approximately half of Poland. They renegotiate the deal a little bit later after the war. So that's where we're at. So tensions have been rising steadily after Germany has begun to rearm and demand various territorial concessions from its neighbor. On September 1st, German forces openly invade Poland, with France and Britain allied to the Poles. This move will surely plunge the whole continent into war. Okay, so we're going to continue with this here. Mission briefing awaits. As you know, the German military invaded Poland September 1st. A few days later, both Britain and France declared war on Germany. After all attempts to reach a collective security agreement with those Western nations failed, Moscow agreed on a non-aggression pact with Germany late August. Since Poland is now on the verge of collapse due to the invasion, we aim to secure areas under Polish control. Since the Polish-Soviet War of 1920, to deflect diplomatic backlash, Moscow declares that we have to protect Ukrainians and Belarusians living in eastern Poland. Our initial advances have been met with little resistance from Polish units, but now their stance has become more hostile. You think invading their country? Still, there's a good chance that we may be able to surprise Polish units wholly unprepared for combat, but expect growing resistance when we advance deeper into Polish territory. Seize our objectives quickly before the Poles can organize more serious defense, but make sure the isolated enemy units do not sneak into our rear area. Polish Air Force has been hit hard by the German air power, so we do not expect air activity in this region. Command agrees to deploy recon aircraft, though, to scout the area ahead. Okay, let's start the game here now. Okay, take Grodno and take all secondary objectives. 6, that's primary objective, but I guess each one is secondary, but collectively they're primary. Deploy 2 core tank units before turn 2 complete in 18 turns. Okay. Command is pleased by your skill you demonstrated when leading mechanized formations. Adds a unit of light T-38 tanks to your force. Again, this is the amphibious tankette, I would call. Something of a nebulous term. What is a tank? What is a tankette? But by the time the start of World War II, it's more or less settled down into something that is carrying rifle caliber machine guns only, and is generally a small thing. So a Panzer I would really be a tankette. A Panzer II is right there on that verge because it does have a 20 millimeter gun on it, and really most tank armors are designed to stop rifle calibered bullets. Now you can, hello Tony First Gen, really you can do armor piercing ammo that may, bullets coming out of that, but maybe, but not really, where 20 millimeter cannons will, generally speaking, penetrate the light tank armors. So that is sort of the dividing line. Like this vehicle, like the Panzer I, they can have a small turret. Like the L-33, the Italian tankette, which had 2 dual light machine guns, no turret. And this one is particularly, the reason it's made is that it's amphibious. It has, if you notice, it's sort of, it's locked down shape, that it's going to be low profile in the water. And so it is an amphibious tank, especially if you're talking about a country in which there's lots of rivers and limited amounts of infrastructure. Amphibious vehicles can be good for turning the flanks and such. So we got a unit of those. Okay, now we need to move fast. So I'm going to . Okay, with enough tanks, units ready for combat, we should be able to conclude the operation swiftly. Now let's move him there. Now, some infantry. I do like my artillery, so where it's here. Put those on the road, ready to move up. Now, it did say we could use some reconnaissance aircraft. No, it's these. Right. Okay. But it's only letting us use the recon aircraft. Okay, we have 7 more points to deployment. Hello, unknown. No real combat fighter. Fighter is obviously not needed. Ground attack could be useful, but we're not allowed. I think we're looking a little more for speed, so we're going to take these. And I got 4 more points. Also, we'll use some heavies just to give a little punch. And yeah, that fully uses up our starting points. Okay, from 1938 to 1941, so starts in the Far East, conflicts with Japan over Manchuria/Manchukuo, mostly where the border is kind of stuff. Then it goes up until 1941, but before Barbarossa, so it covers 1938, 1939's activities. I have not played past... I've not even completed this mission, but I have sort of played the opening moves of this. Yeah, so it's setting up early on with Zhukov fighting out in the east, and I presume we're going to get Timoshenko's Winter War in there as well. I'm almost, reading the brief description, certain that the Winter War is covered from the Soviet perspective. Haven't played it, so I don't know exactly how well, but I presume everything else they've been doing a good job with. So I have played, of course, if you've been around, the Winter War DLC from Germany's perspective, or from the Finns' perspective, I should say. When the Red Army wasn't really ready, they had most of their military leadership executed by Stalin. Yes. I think that's mostly happening in 37, 38. Much of their high command, I mean more than the majority of their high command, is executed. Okay, again, we've already looked at that. Okay, the photo is missing here. I'm still playing a beta version of the game, so I presume it'll be shown in the actual real one. But I presume it's some supply vehicle or something. Due to our fast, advanced logistic units have trouble keeping up, secure more supply areas quickly and conclude the operation before running into serious problems, minus supply at Luna per turn. Okay. So we can see that we have an anti-aircraft gun there. Let's move. Okay, Polish logistic units consisting mostly of trucks has been completely overwhelmed by our forces without much bloodshed. Troops were able to secure a few resources. Speed of your advance has taken Polish by surprise. An AA unit caught unprepared for combat has no choice other than to surrender. So we've got there. Very good. Now, yes, I did know he was there. So we're going to bring up our mobile artillery. Oh, well, we should also do some reconnaissance. That's also very useful. While they're unprepared and somewhat weak, even though they are an anti-tank unit, let's hit them. Now, these guys here, they can dash right across without worrying about that there's a river there. Now, here, I think there's a unit going to be there, but let's see if we can find it. Yes. Okay. Yeah, just keep the pressure up on them. Okay, that looks like what we can do this turn. Yes. Got 2 of the 6 objective hexes. Why am I? Yep, they're in the town. Okay. Well. All right, well. Good, took out the anti-tank unit. I'm going to suspect that there's somebody in that town. My aerial reconnaissance is doing only limited use. I think they're all hiding in the forests. Not that that's a bad idea. Let's move up here along the road. Okay, so they're probably not there if we can move by them. Yeah, they're there. Nope, we're not going to attack. Well, yeah, let's do so. Should have brought one of my flame tanks with me. I'm missing that now instead of maybe them. Ouch. Oh, they've retreated. Okay, we got some horsies up there. Oh, some TKSs. Now those guys again have a rifled calibered machine gun. They're another tankette. Oh, well, wouldn't have mattered. Okay, more horse units up there. Well, pushing forward is good, but we're going to move here so they can coordinate their attacks a little better. Now they should be taken down effectively, hopefully. They can move up there, keep the pressure up. Don't want to get cut off, lose supply. That can be a bad situation. Okay, that's it for this turn's movement. Oh, they're moving up their TKSs. Those would be nasty for some Soviet infantry to deal with. Not that these guys are doing really any good. They're not. Well, spotted some artillery. Okay. Hey, thanks for following the channel. Do appreciate it. Now that they move their tanks out of position, we can push up there harder. Let's first conclude this battle here. Machine gun tanks shooting at machine gun tanks. Oh, damn, reconnaissance, you're not spotting things very well. Oh, that hurt. Okay, we'll start with reconnaissance, the little BA-20s. Keep pushing. Hey Arno, how you doing? Okay, well, they've been pushed hard, so we're gonna... I guess come this way. These don't do ground attacks. I think there's also somebody in that town. I thought we saw them move there. This is the German invasion, oh no, sorry, the Soviet invasion of Poland. We're trying to get to Grodno, as well as deal with other small problems. Yep, there they're cutting off. But I think we can re-establish supply well enough. Okay, well. That took him down by one. Yeah, this looks like... Oh, no. We want to come up to here to do the attack. Both so that we're pushing deeper, but also that we're flanking them. Flanking does quite help. Also, reducing their numbers helps quite a bit. Well, don't know if I want to do that because I want to occupy the town. Let's go for the sure kill. Ah, glad I waited. Move up along the dirt road there and take them out. Boom. And no, don't go into the forest. You move slowly from there. You come up to here now and reinforce. Move up our artillery. We met the TKs. TKSs, yes. That's the only one. No 7 TPs yet. And see if they can take out those horsey troops. And no, I'm not going to follow because they'll just get cut off and I'm already low in supply, fuel, whatnot. Yeah, I guess we can swing down here and see about picking up a few more of the objective hexes, secondary ones. We spotted that artillery, so it's been somewhat good, but not... Oh, spotting some anti-aircraft. The 38T. Was the... let me just... Sorry, we're, yeah, okay. Momentary black screen, but no problems, just need to switch something here. The 7TP was actually a fairly good tank, especially when you consider that the French were doing the 35, the R35 and the H35 with their single-man turrets, where the if I'm not mistaken, the 7TP does have a 2-man turret. It's still a small tank, and so I would say it's better. It has a better gun on it for sure than the French do. The French armor of their light tanks is heavier, but I would put generally the 7TP better than the R35 and the H35 that were now in Hotchkiss. So I put it better than that. It's definitely a better tank than the Panzer I and Panzer II that was sort of, you know, at that time. So it's not a bad tank, but it doesn't quite come up to the Czech standard. Definitely doesn't come up to the Panzer III or Panzer IV standards. Yes. Neutrino, this is of course the release day stream, so glad to have you here. Now the the Pacific games, they did some really good work on those. I've played a bunch of the... Yeah, we're gonna keep looking for units. Now, well, this is a little simpler. I think. Worried there may be an infantry unit there, and I don't know. So we're going to take them down. Move the 1 hex up. Oh, got some infantry there. Okay. move the infantry up to support. Alright, how do we do this dance the best? I think it'd be best to withdraw them to there and then reinforce. Oh, I should have probably attacked the artillery. Oh well. Maybe no one in that town. Now here, stay right where we're at. And reinforce. Yeah, no, they didn't spot the guys in the forest. Oh well. Let's be at least a little smart about this. Oh, you're having trouble moving through the forest. Well, we'll keep moving up. Nope, more infantry. Okay. We're going to take this opportunity to withdraw out of their immediate front. Yeah, they're going to come up, also reinforce again, but now cutting them off fully. Well, these guys are slow, but useful for holding the rear at the moment. Ooh, they got slaughtered in the open. Still the unit over there, I believe. And they can't attack into the forest. That's super dense forest is what that represents. But we can shoot at it with artillery. We'll think whether we want to. Why do I suspect there's somebody right there? Yes, there is. Oh, and there's troops there. Damn. Engineers, damn. Damn, ouch, ouch, ouch. Yes, I should have used the reconnaissance and spotted them that way. Bumped into them with that. Well, these guys will come up and be useful in attacking there. Forget about places. No, you're gonna stay right where you're at. You're gonna stay right where you're at. Yeah, retreat is probably the best at this point for you guys. We've got the point, so let's reinforce. That's a bit of a pain. You might just be able to bypass that. I don't know. You swing around that way. Make them nervous. Make them nervous. Yeah. I think these guys will go in and occupy and get reinforcements. Trying to see about a coordinated attack in a couple of these places. No, let them attack out if they want. Oh, you're out of ammo, I gather. There's a specific resupply button. Oh, you're able to fire. Okay. Don't know. We're the Soviet Army. We don't care about casualties now, do we? Yep, I'm moving up slowly on that. Oh, hello. Well, not that. Oh, maybe I should have shot. Not that useful. I guess I probably should see about just letting it be. Nope, we're not moving into the river. That'll slow up our advance. Yep, they're back there. We just wanted to confirm that as much as anything else. That would have been good to do that first. These guys also need to let's swing up here and get the anti-aircraft guns. That sounds like a fun plan. Ooh, they've got tank support. Okay, we're gonna go right after you instead. Directly take you on. reinforce. Again, the reconnaissance aircraft never need to get refueled. So they can hang around for basically ever. Okay. Well, they're gonna pull up to there. These guys are gonna come over to here. Get them in a bit of a crossfire. I was hoping to take it down totally. Yeah, reinforce. Let's dare them to come out of their thick trees. No, I don't think, you know, there were some good Polish units, but a lot of the Polish units were sort of mass conscripts. Not that the Germans weren't sort of that too, but there's a lot of hastily raised units. There's a lot of confusion in the Polish ranks, but there were some good professional units as well, so I don't want to degrade Polish capabilities. But it's more the command and control, Arno, that really makes the Germans what they are. They really just are able to identify, where the enemy is, get fire onto the enemy, keep moving, keep all that going, just beyond what the Poles can do. And I just quite honestly don't know about the Polish army, but I'm going to presume the density of radios and field telephones, which are still very much a thing for the Americans as well as the Germans up until the end of the war. Field telephones are really a serious thing, still used in the, they would lay the wires down as units were advancing. And so it wasn't just like static position defenses. So I think the command and control just really outclasses the Poles. Also, the sheer amount of equipment. Poland, unlike a lot of nations, Poland, we were just talking earlier, they made their own tanks, their TKSs and their 7TPs. Romania, later on in World War II did, and Hungary later on in World War II did start making some tanks, but really at this time they're importing, often from France, from Germany, from Czechoslovakia. They're importing tanks. Sure, Poland has some leftover Renault FT-17s, made at the close of World War I. They're still in the Polish, some of them are still in the Polish service. We don't hear much about them fighting the Germans. I don't really know where they were. There's not many of them necessarily still up and running, but there are some. But they're mostly building their own tanks. They're building all their own rifles. They use the German caliber as standard. They're building Browning automatic rifles, the BARs, a variant on it, again in the German caliber. They're doing a variant on the Browning 1917 machine gun, the water-cooled version, again in the German caliber. They're what I know is the Radom pistol. It's just sort of the collector's name. I forget the actual designation. Really nice 9mm pistol, loosely based on some of the Browning designs. So they're manufacturing a lot of this equipment where, again, many nations aren't as comprehensive, and they're also doing aircraft manufacture as well, aren't as comprehensive in their different production capabilities as Poland is. But Poland, at the start is worried about the Soviets because Germany's disarmed. They've got a larger and more powerful army than Germany does until, Hitler's putting into conscription and upping the Polish upping the German army size. So Poland's army is larger than the German army at that point, until Hitler's starting to rearm Germany. So they're mainly worried about the Soviet Union, very worried about the Soviet Union. So that's what pushes them for armaments starting, in 1920 or before. And so Poland is better off than a lot of nations. The Baltic states, none of them make any. I don't even know if they make their own ammunition, but I know they don't make their own even small arms, pistols or rifles. They're importing. I think it was Lithuania that was getting primarily British Enfield rifles and Vickers machine guns and 303. That's where a lot of the captured British weaponry that you may see, particularly late in the war, comes from. More. Sort of hard to say more because obviously the BEF leaves a lot of that behind, but a lot of it does come out of Lithuania, that the Soviets come in and occupy and just leave the British stuff in the arsenals because they don't need it, and they're just sitting there until the Germans invade. So Germany gets a lot of that equipment that's non-standard calibers and non-standard to what they're used. So Poland is there, but Poland just isn't up to the scale of German production and German capabilities. So it just isn't. Polish HQs in September was practically non-existent for the first, Army HQs and that I can well understand. Paul Winter, how you doing today? Also German prepared years before or adopting new. Germany is definitely doing more modern tactical experiments. They have major training exercises going on. Something that I've actually been looking for and hard to find photos of, specifically identified as a particular exercise. Lots of photos of them at some sort of sports stadium, sort of mock battling with tanks and stuff to show off to the public. But I mean, I would love more photos of their training exercises pre-war, but they're out there trying to do, how to integrate motorized, not just like panzers and armors, but motorized forces with non-motorized forces. They're really looking forward for those type of warfare, where the Poles are mainly still sort of looking at, pre-mechanized warfare. I don't think they coordinate their motorized forces, which they do have. They also had an armored car, I believe. But I don't think they're well coordinated, well training, compared to the Poles had Vickers and 100 R-35 tanks. Okay, I did not know that they had the R-35s. Those there were no. I knew they had bought the Vickers, and that's what they. If you look at their tank design, the 7 TPs, they're based. They're based off the Vickers drivetrain and everything. So they're very much copying, using the Vickers as a basis of production of design to produce their own vehicles. Okay. Now, here, fire. back. And reinforce you. Okay. Yeah, we're going to come up here. Yeah, no, you're just gonna sit on the defensive and you're sort of watching those troops there. Well, I don't think the French either had enough S-35s for their own use or necessarily wanted to have the S-35s out in the wild. If you understand what my meaning is that it still is very much a state secret. It's sort of like their premier tank. They're not wanting everybody to know the details of production on it. Yeah, I know they were in a better position, but I want to still grind them down. Which this may have been a mistake. Oh, well, we'll come over here and take out their anti-aircraft. Isolate Grodno. Well, I think we're gonna head back over this way now. I was gonna, if needed, add that to the firepower there. Well, we'll wait till next turn to shoot. And we will also reinforce. Now they came out of the forest, the dense forest, the super dense forest. Okay, they pushed our troops back. They are at a disadvantage for several reasons, but including coming across the bridge. But we're the Soviet army. We pound, human waves, attack. Attack or your commissar will kill your officers. And possibly other people. Okay, we've taken 6 of the secondary objectives. They're holding on stubbornly, but futilely. Okay, Commander enlisted, Soviet General 1. New Soviet commanders available and can be attached to one of our units. Okay, well, I like my tank units, so we'll put him there. So we now have a Soviet general commanding that unit. Very nice. I think they're here, so we'll move to here. Yeah. Sure, why not? Teach them Poles to resist the liberation from relative freedom and relative prosperity that we're liberating them from. And I do say relative because, yeah, Polish economics weren't doing so great, and they were a little bit of a dictatorship going on. It wasn't, you know, comic star gamers, yes. Okay, I think we've done this in 16 turns. Yes, some units are unmoved. Okay, so we've got all of our primary and secondary objectives complete. Major victory. Your Swiss advance has been successful as Poland crumbles under the weight of the German invasion. Moscow is pleased to move our borders further west. Okay. No, we're not going to save replay.